What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast, episode 6.
Let's go.
Hey, this is going good.
It's been well so far.
Pretty soon we're going to run out of fingers.
Had quite a few people calling Johnny Willie last week, so that made me happy.
Way to go, guys.
Thank you all.
Finally. We did a little change of scenery. The main reason was because I wanted to have that screen, but then as you see, it's not even there because the shot looks bad with it in there. So that was for nothing. But it's cool to switch it up.
Yeah,
you know?
for
It's
sure,
cool to be able to move us around. Maybe we'll do an outside. Maybe we'll do. Johnny said we should do the sanctuary.
Yeah. Sanctuary in
you
the seats.
Stand by it? Huh? Earlier you said like it was a great idea.
Yeah, and it's not in front of people because then they judge the idea.
Yeah, but you got to stick with it.
I confidently think that, yes, it'd be a good idea.
I think Andy had a great idea.
Yeah, so Andy commented on the podcast. We were talking about worship last episode. If you didn't see that, go check it out. But Andy Cameron said that we should do, like carpool karaoke, we should do worship on the way. And we've been talking about it. That's a fantastic idea.
Fantastic idea.
And I'm so excited for it.
So this week, we're going to go grab some lunch, and you're just going to have your GoPro, and we're going to do worship podcast in the car, worship on the way.
Yeah. So it'll be worship, normal worship in the car like we talked about.
Conversation.
And then in between, we're just talking about life.
I think it's going to be awesome. I think they're going to love it because we're going to drive in my car, and I get to be the DJ of this.
Oh, man.
This is like... this is like deep fantasies being fulfilled right here. This is amazing.
When I read that comment, I didn't realize how much I needed that in my life.
Yeah.
And then I read it and I was like, wow, this is an Apple idea. This is a like changing everything. I know I'm being really dramatic about it, but when I read it, I was like, man, how is that not out there?
How have we personally not pulled out a camera and just started recording us?
Yeah.
It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be hilarious for sure because Johnny is a terrible singer.
Hey, but is Willie a good singer?
I'm just kidding.
Can Willie sing? When you get there, can Willie let those
With a
vocals...
camera on me? No chance.
Come on.
No chance.
I don't know if y'all remember that.
Shower songs? I could have a Grammy.
Worst 10, not top 10 video that we did for anniversary service where Johnny was the number one.
I remember that.
Him singing on
number
stage.
one.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
But in the shower, I definitely could get a Grammy.
Hey, you got in there, though.
What's your shirt say?
I think it's a place. It was given as a gift to me.
Gotcha.
Eu la bela Brasil.
Hey, Kishiki.
I've been teaching Johnny Portuguese lately.
Nice.
And he feels really proud of himself now.
I do, honestly. And I've remembered it, so.
And he's trying to talk to me like I don't know what he's saying sometimes. And I'm like, Johnny...
That's
bro,
offensive.
He's like, he just comes up to me and he goes, what's something you normally say?
Ohivu,
which is like terrible. And I'm like, Johnny, why are you saying that to me right now? Like, what's up?
Just because it's in the dictionary.
And then he's like, fecha boca, which is like, shut your mouth. I'm like, what? Hey.
He deserves it, though, sometimes.
You don't talk to me like that, young man.
Hey, I taught you this.
Should have put it in my dictionary.
All right, we got an awesome podcast planned out for you guys. We're gonna get it started. We're gonna jump right in. We got a little interaction going on. So we got some quotes that all three of us put in here. I have no clue what you guys wrote. I have no clue what's in here. I know what I put. I know the direction that I took with this, but I have no clue where you guys took it. I could feel really bad because all you guys did was Jesus quotes, and I got like Han Solo.
Well, my email is Cam's, so that tells you anything.
This is gonna be amazing.
So you're just gonna random draw, and we're gonna read the quote.
I want to redo my quotes. I want to redo.
You can pull them up.
I kind of want to throw one in there that's not.
And but we're gonna just do it at random and just talk about what it speaks to us in that moment.
Let's do it.
And then person who chose the quote, we can go like that.
Love it.
So let's do. I got this one right here. Oh, there we go. Perfect. It's Jesus.
So this is from you.
This is not from me.
This is from Johnny.
This is Johnny.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
This is Johnny's.
How do you know?
Because
it's not from him, and mine's on blue paper, and that one's on yellow, so it has to be
all
from
he
you.
said was Jesus.
Yeah, but it's process of elimination.
Okay, sorry.
He
Continue.
only had a blue paper. It's a yellow paper.
It was me.
So, quote.
Yep, it was me.
Quote, Jesus, you will be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm shall be saved.
First take for me. It's just a reminder of, as I'm walking through the life I'm living now, that everything I do is not going to be understood by people, and I shouldn't expect it to be understood by people. And when I have to make righteous decisions and do righteous things, it's not going to be considered the cultural norm most of the time. And so then when I receive criticism because of that, I've just got to keep walking. So I also have a tattoo on my wrist. It's 1 Corinthians 16:13. Yeah.
Sorry.
We can talk about that sometime too.
Tattoos?
Yeah.
It's one of my quotes.
Be on guard, stand firm in your faith, be courageous, be strong. So that's the second part of that. Some of the verses, or some versions say, those who endure till the end shall be saved. And so one part is, I know that I'm going to face criticism for the things I do according to what God has commanded me to do. And then the other side is, I've just got to keep going towards the mark that God's called me to. So
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, interesting for me. David Kemp will be here this week in preaching. So as they've watched this, they've already heard David Kemp's sermon. And he was talking with me a little bit the other day about what he's preaching on. And he's talking about Jesus even talking about, if you don't hate your mother and father and follow after me, then that concept of you've got to hate everybody else to follow me, and then everybody else is going to hate you because you follow me. It's this weird I say weird, maybe to people outside that doesn't understand it. It's this weird reliance of, I can't rely on anybody else but Jesus, and I can't expect anybody else to understand what I'm going through but Jesus. So at the end of the day, it's me and Jesus. So, that concept to me is probably going to be reaffirmed in them even this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll just iterate what you guys said. Same thing speaks to me. I mean, I can make it personal in moments where I'm walking through that, of feeling like you have certain situations where you can depend on people, and then there's that kind of reminder of, I'm in this with Jesus, and sometimes it's not going to look like what people around me want it to look like. I saw this other thing that was, you can't change people around you, but you can change the people around you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you can't change the people that are around you in your life, but you can change who is around you in your life. Yeah. And it's a stark difference, and it's the same thing. I mean, when you talk about being criticized by people that are outside of this, and I mean, it kind of also echoes the Easter message of, look, Jesus is the only way. Yeah. That is the only way to be saved, is standing firm with Jesus. There's no other way. Yeah. And so stand firm with them. Great quote, Johnny. Willie, great quote.
All right, let me mix this thing up.
Next? What we got?
I feel like I can't look because y'all gave me the cheat code.
Mine are on blue, Bo.
I got blue. That's yours.
Everything rises and falls on leadership.
That's my quote. I say this at least 12 times a week. Every time a leader comes to me and complains, my response is, everything rises and falls on leadership. When a department is struggling with volunteers or struggling with ideas or whatever they're struggling with, at the end of the day, everything rises and falls on leadership. I think this is a Max Lucado quote. No, I think it's a John Maxwell quote. But again, I don't know who to give credit for, but I've heard this so many times. It is, to me, something that I live by. I can't change the people around me, but I can change the people around me type concept. I can't complain about what's happening around me, but at the end of the day, I can do something to influence what's happening around me because I'm the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely introspective of, when I'm looking at everything around me that's going on, and I see maybe something that I'm not liking, instead of complaining about it, I'm the leader. I should try to figure out a way to make that situation change. And so a lot of times we've had that conversation in leadership development.
For sure.
When we're in a meeting with directors, I mean, there's been multiple times in different layers of leadership where that has definitely been something I've heard, and it's something I've taken in because I just know now, like, that's just something that's there in my system.
Yeah, I don't want to give people a free pass.
Mm-hmm.
I think this doesn't give you a free pass. This says, you're the leader, do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
100%.
Next is a Phil Jackson quote.
Hey, it's good.
The strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each individual member is the team.
Come on, Phil.
Phil's a genius.
Hey, Phil's, yeah. He is. He's awesome.
Phil is not only Phil Silva, but Phil Jackson is a genius.
Yeah, Phil Jackson's a genius. I mean, we think very like-minded in leadership and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is almost similar, you know, but it kind of ties in. If you take the last one where everything rises and falls on the leader and apply that to a team mentality, I mean, this is what it is.
100%.
Hey, you know, the team as a whole, I mean, you take a team of leaders, but the team as a whole, you know, you take responsibility for the each individual, but also realize that, like, the group, the body is what makes each individual awesome. You know, it's what builds each other up, is the team mentality, the group. I mean, you look at the previous one, everything that we've talked about up to this point with these quotes. I mean, they all kind of can fit and mold into this thing that we're talking about with leadership. But Phil Jackson and his mentality with the basketball team, I mean, they won
11,
a lot
12.
of championships with that mentality. You know what I'm saying?
With 11, 12, maybe more championships with two teams for him personally.
With Lakers,
Bulls.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like it
speaks.
Yeah.
The fruits.
And he's had MJ, Scotty,
Shaq and Kobe, yeah.
Shaq, and still he's talking about, no, it's not individual. It's a team, because they needed support.
That's a great point.
People as well.
That's a great point. Once you realize that he had some of the best basketball players ever, and he lived by this philosophy of, you know, it's the team. I think there's so many people that once you get to that, you bring it back to ministry, you have two all-star people, and you kind of put all your energy into them, and you realize that it's still a team. You know, they still need everybody else too, and everybody else needs them just as much.
Steve Kerr had to hit that jumper.
Yeah, I was about to say that in the Jordan documentary, where Phil's talking about how he had to convince Jordan to rely on Steve Kerr to trust him that he would hit the jumper. Yeah. And at the end of that playoff game, you know, he's like, I didn't want to pass it. It's like, I didn't want to pass it. He's like, but I just heard Phil's voice in my head over and over and over again. Trust him. So I did, and he knocked it down. So, yeah.
It's good stuff.
That's where they are. All right, let's see this one.
Yeah, it's just not me.
Private discipline brings public reward.
Love this concept. It's from the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus, Matthew 5, 6, and 7. Jesus is, you know, telling them, hey, fast, pray, but what you do in secret, understand that your Father will reward you openly. And I think people who see public blessings, they see you being blessed, and the concept being you have no clue what that person has done in private to validate the blessing that God has placed upon them. Yeah. And if you do what you're supposed to do in private, then God will reward you in public. Yeah. That's what his word said he would do.
Yeah, to me, it's an encouragement. I think sometimes people lose the motivation to in private when no one else is around. Especially, I mean, look at like a youth setting. When no one else is around to tell you that you're doing an incredible job and this is what you should do, you lose that sense of accountability. But also for some people, that's their main motivation.
Yeah.
That really pushes them. Like, they know the values of it. They know that it'll make their life better. But in terms of like actually pulling you outside of your junk and living right, for a lot of people, that's their main motivation. And this kind of switches it up, and it's almost like a reminder when you're in those moments of like, no, private discipline. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need anybody to see it.
That's right.
You know, and it's a good it's almost something that you can just repeat to yourself over and over again when you're in those moments of going through your junk, and you have no one else to motivate you. You know, you have no one else to coach you through it.
Yeah, and it's not so much like there's a quote in there, the next one you'll pull from me is about righteousness, but it's about the discipline. It's not about doing it right. It's about ultimately you will do it right because you've disciplined yourself to do it. So it's not about I want to pray. It's about I'm disciplined to pray, so I'm going to my prayer closet. I may not want to read my Bible, but I'm going to read my Bible because I'm disciplined and I know I need to do it type thing. So it's about disciplining yourself to do the things that you know you need to do, even when you don't want to do them or you don't feel, motivated to do them. Doing those things because ultimately, whenever you're doing those things in private, that God will take care of the rest.
Yeah, and it's on the opposite end as well, right? Like it's the undisciplined, right? Private undiscipline will also be brought, the Bible says, brought to the light.
For sure.
Not just when we talk undisciplined, not just the things that you're doing that are maybe like reading your Bible or praying. Even then, that stuff will show itself when you have moments where maybe somebody needs you to pray for them, or somebody needs you in this moment to do something, and where are you going to pull from in that moment? And then when you freeze in that moment, then it's like, oh, something's not clicking there. But also at the same time with sin, the Bible says that, if whatever's done in the dark will be brought to the light. So it's one of those things where on the opposite end, those things are going to be.
What you do behind closed doors, ultimately people will know.
Yeah, whether you think so or not.
Some way,
some shape or form, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here.
What you got?
I think I got pastors again.
Pastor's last one.
My last one right here.
Let's hear it.
Righteousness above everything.
This is a quote I live by. It's written on my prayer wall. It is the concept of, just pick righteousness. What is the right decision? We had this conversation, a few weeks back in a situation y'all were dealing with. At the end of the day, man, you can make decisions to make people happy. You can make decisions that make your life easier. You can make decisions that make ministry easier. You can make decisions that, benefit you in so many different ways and seem to be the best decision. But are they the right decision? So above my friends, above my feelings, above my future, above anything else, I choose righteousness. Righteousness above everything. Any decision I'm making, my desire is to make the righteous choice. What is right in this moment, I've got to choose that. Whether it's making my life harder or easier, at the end of the day, I've got to choose righteousness.
Yeah. So what are the implications for not making a righteous decision in order to make your life easier in the moment?
Yeah, I think there's ripple effects to every decision that you make. And so for me, it's that private discipline brings public reward. It's I choose righteousness when nobody's looking. I choose righteousness in every scenario so that at the end of the day, whenever somebody comes back to me 3 years later and says, why did you make that decision? My answer is, I was trying to be righteous. And I don't always make the right decisions, but my desire is to make the righteous decisions. And so for me, the flip side of that is, people who make unrighteous decisions in the moment to make ministry easier. So let's say you have someone living in open sin that you're allowing to participate in a ministry that you're leading, and you just turn a blind eye to them rather than just doing what's right. What's right is, scripturally we should confront them. We should have conversation with them. There's scriptural things that we should walk out with that conversation, but you turn a blind eye to it. Ultimately, what you're doing is presenting to the people that are a part of your ministry that this is something that you accept, something that you're, willingly open to. And so it ultimately will take that sin that you've accepted, that you've turned a blind eye to, and now make it something that's accepted throughout your entire ministry. And it will create, a ripple effect to where now, instead of handling it that one time, now you're handling it, throughout the entire congregation.
100%.
That's good.
I think righteousness is one of those things that you really need to figure out, what the word says about that. You can't, I think that there's a lot of people that rely on their idea of who they think God is and what who his character is, and you take those people that make those decisions in sight versus in their own way, and add their own context to it, and it's misrepresenting who God is, and it almost reflects the last thing too, in that when you do things like that, I mean, it reflects the almost the heart posture of it, your heart posture in, like you said, you may not make the best decisions sometimes, but is your heart posture to make righteous decisions? And if that's so, when that conversation is had, if your heart posture is to make right decisions, then in that moment there's a change. There's a true, I want to do something about it. But then you have the one that like we said, discipline produces the public reward. The flip side of it is, in those moments, the one that's not practicing discipline, that's going to show in that moment. That's going to show in those, revealing your heart posture. What is it that your heart really wants?
And when you choose righteousness, it goes back to Johnny's first quote. People are going to hate you, because in a culture where there is no right and wrong, where there are a bunch of concepts of what right and wrong may be, and everybody tries to interpret it differently, to then say, I'm choosing right, they're looking at you with hatred in their eyes, because to them, you are placing your understanding above their understanding. So now, you're dealing with the first quote again. So it's tough to do, but at the end of the day, it is, to me, I lead a ministry, and so I try to think through, somebody watching that may lead a business or lead a ministry, or even leading their family. At the end of the day, the only decision that makes sense to me is the righteous decision, because every other decision is going to come with a lot of baggage and a lot of hurt and pain at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah, because we feel for people, like that's our heart is for our people here who we're leading, and so when we have to make the righteous decision, it's not like we're like, we get to use some of our authority to lay down the boom. No, it's hurting us just as much as it's we feel that for you. We have the weight of the decision on us when we're making it. So it's one of those things where it can get taken out of context and say, well, you're being this self-righteous whatever. And no, it's something I have to make for my conscience sake, for what is righteousness for the kingdom of God. But at the same time, I feel the burden of the person who the emotion they're going to feel when that decision is carried out.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, I feel like when I've heard people talk about this, there's almost this feeling of like, are my desires in the wrong? Like, is my world just flipped upside down to where, like, because it's almost being perceived as that righteous decisions are easy to make when you're like no, like,
so
get this clear, if I had my way, there's probably a lot that I would change about our faith. Like there's probably things that I would look at in the Bible and be like, I don't know if I agree with that. But I choose to submit myself and what I think is right to the Bible, to God. So it's like there's that switch kind of don't get it mistaken. Like, none of us love making those decisions sometimes.
Right.
They're not fun to make
100%.
In our own lives and for others. Like, they're not fun to make, and sometimes they're not necessarily our true, like, our true ideas of what it should look like, but they're His, and it's what Scripture says, and it's what it's what we submit ourselves to, and that's what we choose to do when you choose this life, is to take what Phil thinks it should look like, what Pastor Jamie thinks, what Johnny thinks it should look like, and submit it to God.
Right. Is God righteous? The answer is yes. Then when you choose righteousness above everything else, then you choose the path that God has intended over even your own emotions and your own feelings. So if I'm stuck in a situation where I don't want to forgive someone, I'm mad at them, I hate them. They hurt someone in my family. They hurt me in ministry. I don't want to forgive them. My response has to be righteousness above everything else. which is I have to forgive them. Why? Because that's what God would do. And again, I don't get this right all the time, but my desire is to get this right.
Yeah. So good.
So I saw this one in here, and I really am glad I pulled it out. This is a double quoter, okay? So Phil, I guess, couldn't choose between the top three, so he went with 4.
I could.
But I guess because these are from maybe the same movie, definitely the same
universe,
same universe,
See it from here.
same
I'm
movie
excited.
series.
same body of.
We have from Yoda, do or do not. There is no try.
That's a banger.
That is. I mean that speaks to me right there.
Episode 6.
That speaks to me.
Johnny's quoting.
And then the other one is from Han Solo that says, "Never tell me the odds." These these speak to me right here.
Yeah.
Like let's do it. Let's charge the mountain, and they're like, well, let's try to charge the mountain. I'm like, no. We're either doing it or we're not doing it. Like, we're not trying to do anything.
Yeah, the odds are.
The odds are against you.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me the chances of us making it through this.
I want to tackle that mountain, and I want somebody that doesn't care the odds and doesn't think that they're just trying to see if this is going to work.
Yeah. That
they're going to make it work. To me, again, fivefold ministry, to me, this Yoda quote is very apostolic in nature. That concept of we're going to make it work. Nothing's going to stop us. There is no try. We're going to figure out a way to make this happen.
Yeah. If I say, hey, could you make this graphic for me real quick? I just want to know if you can or if you can't.
Yeah. What are you going to try?
Yeah. Can you do it?
I'll try.
Well, can you do it? Yes. I mean, if no, I just got to find somebody that can do it. You know what I'm saying? If you can, then awesome. Let's make it work. Let's put it together. Let's knock it out of the park. But and then the other one, don't tell me the odds. That speaks for itself. We're doing this thing.
Yeah. I mean, like,
we're making it happen.
My daughter played against Carolina Forest the other night, and Carolina Forest has an incredible soccer team, and she's telling me how everybody's going to college and this, that, and the other, and they're going to stomp us and all this. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that. Like, why are you telling me that? You're already defeated. Before you ever get into the game, you're already defeated. Like,
I had that same conversation with her on Sunday.
Yeah, like,
we're out front, and she was saying the same thing about Carolina Forest.
Use your Yoda voice and say, do or do not.
No, Han Solo
said this one.
Oh,
don't tell me the odds.
I should have because he was in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, I'm pretty sure, and I should have kicked it in the gear and be like, don't tell me the odds, Carson.
Yoda was with Luke, wasn't it?
Yeah, Willie's trying to cite episode.
And once I got the Rona, I watched all of it.
The minute, it was at the 35th minute.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I saw the 3 new
7, 8, 9?
No.
I was about to say it's not the same.
1, 2, and 3. The new version of the original 6.
The remade ones, or
I tried to watch because I never watched the original 3, so I'd watched episode 1 or something, and I was gonna go back and watch the original 3, and Tony was like, "No, you just gotta. Now you're already in it. Now you just stay and watch 2 and 3, and then go back and watch 4, 5, and 6." And so I tried, man. I really tried. I've really tried to buy into this Star Wars universe. Mm-hmm. I tried. I went and watched, I don't know, Han Solo at the movie theaters, and I seen the one with Ren, and they're okay. They're not terrible movies. I got an episode into The Mandalorian, and I just couldn't do I think there was 4 words in the entire first hour episode, and I'm like, this is the worst movie. And everybody's like, oh my goodness, it's amazing. This is incredible. And I'm like, yo, I'm trying. I literally gave it a fighter's chance. I tried. Do or don't try. I tried.
And I respect that.
I really gave it my all.
I respect that.
But I cannot get into it.
I would say me and Willie disagree on this. He thinks that you should go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's what I
try to do. That's what Tony said.
I say I'm a believer of 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, because I know that that's not how it sequentially like the timeline works. But to me, it's way easier. By the time you get to 4, now you're having to go back in production value and soak up. Even storytelling is different. Like the storytelling is the best in all of Star Wars for sure. But the way that all these things play out, dialogue, it can be very big punches, big quotes, big like, I am your father, big moments like that. But everything else is just with our minds in 2021. It kind of goes,
yeah.
But then the flip side is people go to 1, 2, 3, which is way better in production, but way worse in like story and dialogue.
True.
And so you have to figure out which one. I think most people get more deflated from production. People that aren't huge movie buffs get more deflated with bad production because that's the first thing you notice is you're like, why does this look this bad? Or why is the effects so bad? Like, people don't really notice, a lot of the other like details of it. But I say 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, and you put the little Rogue One in there, Solo in there, and then Mandalorian.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there for all those Star Wars fans watching. I apologize. My bad.
But you gave it a shot.
I gave it a shot, man. I tried.
That's all you can do.
That's all I can do.
Yeah, same thing with Isabella doesn't like Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings, but
I'm trying.
She gave it a
Lord
shot.
of the Rings fan.
I'm trying. Listen, Lord of the Rings. I watched episode 1. I don't know if it's episode, whatever. I watched part 1.
Yeah.
In college, and we went to like the 99-cent movie theater, right? And me and my buddy Josh Foote, who's my roommate, they were walking over the hill, and the lights turn on. And I literally looked at him and said, "Is this movie so long that they have an intermission? Is that what's happening right now?" And he was like, "No, it's in the movie." And I was like, "This is the worst movie of all time." How did that end right there? Like, it just stopped right in the middle of the story.
It's so...
Yeah.
So I never watched 2 and 3.
Makes you want to know what happens, though, next.
No, not me,
like,
man.
Is
I
Frodo
don't do that.
Is Frodo going to make it?
No, I don't do that stuff. You gotta give me more. You could have hooked me, but you just made me waste 3 hours of my day.
Is
I love
Pippin
this.
Is Pippin okay? Like one of those.
So to you, what is like the best movie ever?
Oh man, best
have one
movie
off the top
ever.
of your
So I love all of the Marvel stuff. I'm a huge Marvel guy. I like we talked about it the other day. Doctor Strange is a little weird for me because it kind of gets into some spiritual stuff that I can't get behind. So I kind of almost have to block out the Doctor Strange stuff. And I understand the storytelling and the movie part of it is great, but the spiritual stuff, the mystical stuff, I get little turned off by. So I love that sort of stuff.
MCU.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that stuff. My wife loves movies, and I love going with her and enjoying time with her.
Are you guys gonna watch the King Kong Godzilla?
I heard it was terrible.
You heard it was bad? Dang.
I probably won't.
I haven't heard anything really from it.
I heard it was terrible.
Dang. I heard it was a easy, like, I say I haven't heard anything as in like critical reviews, but from just like a viewer's perspective, I heard it was a really shallow but like action movie, like what you'd expect from like a monster fighting movie. But I mean, those to me have their value. You know what I mean? The easy like barbecue day where everybody's just hanging out, like that's what I think of is everybody's just grilling and there's like King Kong versus Godzilla.
Now
playing
for
in the
me, if
background.
you're like, here's the remote, turn on any movie you want to, every movie in the universe is at your fingertips and it's the clean version of it, I'm going either Patriot or Gladiator.
Man, Patriot's so good. Gladiators, those are the ones that I remember as a kid being on like TNT, or whatever.
Yeah,
100%.
And I was able to watch it every time it came on, and like it was the first time.
Yeah, wherever
Aim
it's
small,
at,
miss
you
small.
off.
Come on. Yeah,
Come on.
But I'm a big sports movie guy, so
you put a sports movie on?
Remember the Titans, Sandlot, Invincible. So I'm a big. Remember the Titans is number one for me. There's so
It's a
many
staple.
one-liners.
Yeah.
I just gave your mama a piggyback ride, and she weighed twice as much as I do. Like that's the stuff like that's
I don't
hilarious
know.
to me. That's Louis Elastic, the big white
Hey,
guy.
is that the last
big
quote
white
in
guy.
here?
don't know.
Hey, is that the last one? Is that what you wrote in
I
there?
don't know that that's a one-liner, by the way. You literally said 3 lines.
That's like, Chuck, when he goes, I got 2 words for you. What do he say? He goes, Steph Curry and,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't know if it was this, but it was like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, must-see TV. And they're like, that's not 2 words, bro.
You got these great one-liners. What? That's...
Yeah, you just said a whole paragraph, bro.
If it was in 10 font, it'd make it on one line.
So, but I honestly feel like barbecue action is like a whole different genre, where it's like you
What is
could walk in at any point of the movie
And just enjoy the
and
movie.
just enjoy what's happening.
Yeah, I
you
like
know?
those kind of movies.
Yeah, those are super easy to watch. You just toss them on. Let's go back to this. Finish this out.
One-liners.
It says, I just gave your mama a piggyback ride.
She's twice your weight.
She's
She weighed
twice
374 pounds,
No,
and
it'd be
it
like-
was heavy.
Be like 750 if it's Louis Elastic.
It says, as your faith is, so be it. Papa Kilman.
Yeah. As your faith is, so be it. So basically,
He said that during prayer, didn't he?
no.
As
so,
he was praying for people.
So it's gonna sound kind of down, but so I didn't really, when I was growing up, I didn't get to have too many spiritual conversations with any, like, my grandparents, because by the time I got saved and got serious about God, they had already passed away, or they were getting close to the end of their lives. And so I remember either I think it was at the funeral. No, after the funeral, me and my dad sat down and we were just talking, and we were talking about how we can almost, he's not here anymore, but we know what he would say. We know what his voice sounds like. It's one of those things. And Dad talked about how that he would call what Pawpaw. He would call him anytime he had a hard decision to make, and there would be silence on the other end of the phone. And then after my dad was talking to him or whatever, he would say, "As your faith is, so be it."
Amen.
And so that's the whole context is with, even though I said it's quoted by Pawpaw, it's a take.
is a verse.
It's taken from Matthew 9:29, where Jesus is healing one of the blind guys in the Bible, and basically says, "As your faith is, so be it unto you." And so that's really encouraging for me as someone who struggles with that sometimes. To when I'm in a hard decision, when I feel like I've got to just do something, to be confident in it and know.
Or when the Lord's working in you like He is,
Yeah.
in you and Christy from prayer on Monday night and what
Yeah.
He's doing inside of you guys.
Absolutely.
As your faith is, so let it be, Papa Kilman.
Yeah. So that sticks with me, and even though I didn't get to have that, conversation with him, I wish I would have, because I know just how much wisdom he had and what he meant to our family. Just being able to take that and kind of run with it in those moments is something I always have, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to keep it with me.
Me
As your
too.
faith is, so be it. Papa.
Oh, sorry, you didn't hit me with the. So it's either mine or someone else's.
Yeah, you got to choose mine, bro.
Okay, I'll
Last
choose
one.
yours. Philippians 4:7.
Mm.
So let me open this up. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. It's good stuff. Oh,
That's good right
Philippians.
Yeah, I love the idea of the things that God provide for us go so beyond what we can understand in our brains. His peace goes so beyond everything that we can imagine we need peace from. The things that we can imagine that would stress us out and would terrify us and would anger us and all those things. I mean, you think of the worst thing possible, his peace goes so beyond the worst thing that you could ever imagine happening to you. And that, to me, when I even try spending time thinking about that, it just puts me in a state of awe of man, not only the things that I'll experience in my life, But the things that I couldn't imagine experiencing in my life, his peace reaches those places, you know?
Amen.
Yeah.
There's something special about that scripture. You know, it almost is the understanding of the scripture brings comfort in and of itself. Mm-hmm. And as people can understand that he can give you peace that you can't understand or comprehend, then whenever they're in a situation when they have peace that they don't understand or comprehend, then they can look back on, like, you know, when somebody passes away and you're like, you should be distraught right now. You're like, yeah, I should be, but for some reason I have peace. Well, why do I have peace? Because it's what the Bible said I would have right now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
It's good.
Super good.
Love
Is this
it.
Last one?
Last one, and it is a random quote that, find ministry moments inside of everyday administrative task. Quoted by me.
Yeah.
How
Let's
odd
go.
did that happen? You know? Yeah, no,
Let's hear it.
that stands out with me a lot because when I look at someone, I'm looking at a checkbox usually, and that sounds bad to say, but for when I started out in ministry, I was always thinking about what I have to get done, what I have to do. There's always something that's got to be done, and sometimes when that would come up, I would be thinking about, like, someone would come up to me and they would have a serious problem or need something done or want to talk about something, and it was almost like, man, I've got to get this checklist done. And almost in my mind thinking that had more importance to do. And so probably multiple times you said this, but there was, I think, one time in staff meeting, or maybe me and Pastor Simeon were sitting around, and you said, hey guys, you know, in every moment that you that someone interacts with you in the midst of your workday, make a ministry moment out of it. When you ask someone to help you with something, don't think of it as a checkbox. Invest in their life. And so that's something, even today, we had somebody come by the office, and I didn't necessarily have to help or do anything like that, but you know what, I decided to check in with them, see how they were doing, how their day was, and try to just have that conversation with them, let them know that I cared about, you know, what's going on in their life. And because I think a lot of times we get that messed up in our mind, is one outweighs the other, when really you should be able to ebb and flow in your ministry moments or your administrative tasks to make the best of
People
that time.
often become a means to an end.
Yeah.
Let's use them to get to a place that I need to be. I need to finish this. I need to get this clean. I need to get this moved. I need to get this, whatever the situation is. And so often in ministry, we have people that are willing to volunteer, and oftentimes we look at them as the means to getting the job done rather than looking at them as opportunities to minister. And so for me, what I always try to do is balance that, and encourage you guys as well to balance that. And as you know, Mike's painting the church right now, and as Mike comes down and needs us to, you know, to move the cart thing that helps him get up there, as we're helping him move, to not just move it and ultimately get back to work. It's, you know, investing in Mike and spending some time and, you know, with Mike, and spent about 15 minutes out there with him this morning, just talking with him and asking him, you know, how life is, how recovery is, how he's battling through, you know, some of the addiction issues he's had, and, you know, what he's doing to overcome. And so for me, oftentimes we look at, you know, being the one who gave the quote, speaking to the quote, for me, oftentimes we look at people as a means to an end, rather than what is it that they're giving me something that I need. What is it that I can give to them? Right. What can I do for them? Because at the end of the day, none of us are the greatest, you know, construction workers or cleaners, or, you know, whatever we have people helping us do that come into the office. You know, Mia was here today painting. You know, we're not the best painters in the world, but as they're there to help us, we also in that moment say, okay, now how can I help you?
Yeah.
What is it that I can do for your life to bless your life? Because, we're spiritual people. We can do spiritual things. Maybe that's through conversation. Maybe that's through sowing seed into their life. Maybe that's through an encouragement to them in the moment. But at the end of the day, they can't just be a means to an end to get a checkbox done. They have to be opportunities for ministry.
Yeah. As I'm like just getting into working here and ministry being a job, I feel like that's a huge thing that I've been trying to apply in the baby steps of it, so that whatever this looks like long term, it's built into what I kind of function as, almost as we talked about earlier, as a heart posture, as a resolve. Yeah. For this to be just a resolve thing, something that I thought about months ago, was like the whole point of making a video is so that maybe somebody watches it, wants to come in, and we can build a relationship with them.
Right.
The whole point of cleaning the youth building is so that when kids come in here, it's a clean environment and they don't have to look at something, so that it's not a distraction. So it's something that is, everything that we do, if you break down the task, it's for people.
Right.
So, and then you have someone in front of you, and it's an immediate opportunity to do the thing that we initially had tasks to do. And then, like, that connect isn't there,
Yeah.
But it's like everything that we're doing is for people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so I think because it isn't, it's weird, though, because it is an immediate fruit of something that we're trying to achieve through our tasks anyway,
Yeah.
And so that kind of connect of, like, if I have someone in front of me, like, that's what I'm trying to do at the end of the day with all my tasks anyway. And now I don't even have to do a task for it. There's just an opportunity right now for me to have something with somebody.
That's it.
So I think that's a great quote. I love it. Next, we're driving into, how long have we been here? Time flies.
It's been a while.
Place,
It has definitely been a while.
We went through we had a whole thing planned out, and we went through our first, and now it's, way gone. But I wanted to talk about Enneagrams and just talk about what your guys' thoughts on them are. My sister is huge on Enneagrams. Huge. And I think because of it, there's been such a sour taste in my mouth for Enneagrams. I realized what they do.
Yeah,
I respect it.
Sure.
But because I've heard it so much, me and Willie have this conversation all the time. I love that I'm casually referring to you as well.
You went from saying Willie to now you've gotten so comfortable with it. I'm like, this might stay.
Willie, full Willie, son.
Like it's like Willie.
But I talked to you about this so many times. Is this feeling of I don't like being put in a box.
Yeah.
And I know Enneagrams aren't putting you in a box. It's just helping you understand.
Identifying
where you are. But I'll preface it as we go into this conversation that I do have this sort of like, but some days I'm like a 6 though, and I may be a 5 at times, but
I will say I'm very much same boat as you. I think any test, a spiritual gifts test, for instance, where you have to answer questions about yourself, are going to be jaded because you're answering questions with maybe how you want to be or how you perceive yourself, but not truly how you are at the core. And so any test that you're taking about yourself will be jaded. So I'll say that from the start. Secondly, for me, the Enneagram was really beneficial in understanding, not myself, like I know me, but maybe knowing Maddie better. Maybe how do I communicate with Maddie better? Okay, how do I communicate with Johnny better? Johnny, is this true? Like, this is what you want to, have me have conversations with you this way rather than this way? Because if that's the case, understand I'm totally willing to do that. And understanding maybe other people understanding me, and because we did it in leadership as a leadership.
Yeah.
And maybe getting them to understand, here's how I am, and here's how I want to be addressed, and here's how, I want conversations had with me. But the flip side for me is, okay, that's you. I totally see that in you. So this is how you are. This is what I should expect from you and I'll walk that path. But again, it's not something I live by. I'm not, it just was one of those things where a brief moment of clarity that maybe I knew about somebody but didn't really maybe fully understand, and this maybe brought some clarity to it.
Yeah. That to me is also where the value would lie. I think of communication as one of those things that you could always use more clarity with how people want to be communicated to, how people receive certain kinds of communication. Like love languages. Like love languages to me are awesome. I love languages, and that's something that I can really get behind. But also, like, I think something that happens with these things is you almost get labeled as that.
Yeah.
And that's where I try to run from, is the like, oh well, you're a 5. That's why you would say that. That's why you would act that way, is because you're a 5. It's like, no, I'm not acting like that because I'm a 5. I'm acting like that because you were rude, And so there's those moments of kind of, but yeah, with like the testing thing. By the way, if you don't know what Enneagram is, look it up. It's ENNEAGRAM. Google it real quick, and then you'll be informed on what it is. I mean, it's a quick test. I don't think it's long.
What are y'all? Like, when you took the test, what are you?
I got a 5.
You're a 5?
5 wing, I don't know, something.
I can't remember at all.
I think you're a 2.
Thought I was a 2 wing 1 or something like that. 2 wing 3.
I think
2 wing 3 or something. Yeah.
I'm a 3 wing 2.
But again, it was one of those things where for me brought clarity in the moment, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not. Same thing with a spiritual gifts test. Okay, this is what it says you are. I got a guy who resent me his because he's kind of operating outside of his spiritual gifts, and he's like, this is my spiritual gifts test, but this is where I'm operating. I'm out of line. I'm like, no, you answered questions. You're very critical of yourself. You answered questions about yourself. Of course, you're not going to paint the clearest picture of who you are.
Yeah, that's a weird thing too. Is when you look at tests like that, it's really tough. I think spiritual gifts are one of those that you can almost see the fruits of it act as well, and I think. Love languages too, I think it's easier. I think Enneagrams, it's kind of like very broad in character, and so it's tough to, a person that's very detective-like, they're going to engage like this. Well, it's like, no, I mean, it depends,
Yeah.
Emotions get in there, and they could act really irrational, and it's way outside of that number. But when you look at those tests in general, there's so many, like, even if you didn't want to, you answer it kind of outside of what it's really impossible to do that because it's subconscious, like subconsciously, like you said, like, and we're all going to answer subconsciously different. I may be super critical of myself, so right. I almost knock myself down. The next person may think very highly of themselves, so they almost place themselves somewhere that they're not. And so, like, even if you look at the subconscious differences, even that will have variation. I took a Harry Potter test, and it put me in Hufflepuff. I'm not Hufflepuff, man.
What?
Hufflepuff, I know you guys may not know who the
literally has about. No clue. I have no clue what that.
And I mentioned it knowing
any of those words.
I mentioned it knowing that you guys wouldn't know, but Hufflepuffs are super lame.
Were you speaking in Portuguese?
No, Hufflepuffs are really lame. Okay, no offense to anybody, but Hufflepuffs are really lame.
Who are you offending by saying Hufflepuffs are lame?
There's people out there.
They're not watching this podcast, I promise.
You'd be surprised.
They got mad because
there's some people in this church that
you Hufflepuffs
are Harry Potter fans, and they pledge allegiance to a certain house.
Come on.
Stop. The Bible says you can't.
Not like that. Just like when they get to Universal, they'll wear the shirt and be like proud because like, yeah, I got Hufflepuff. But Isabella always made fun of me. She got me a Hufflepuff shirt, almost making fun of me because she knows that I did. It's like if you got a 3 and you hate 3, and then I got you a shirt that's like you got a 3 on the Enneagram test.
It's like a badger. And
so now I wear it, but it's just disrespectful, and I have to rep it, But I'm not, I answered it 4 times, and this is how I tested it. I answered the test completely different 4 times, and it gave me Hufflepuff every time. And I said, hey, this is no way.
No way you're Hufflepuff.
This is so broken.
Hufflepuffs.
What would you want to be if you weren't a Hufflepuff?
Gryffindor, for sure.
Gryffindor.
I wish Kyle Russell was here to have this conversation with us. What is Kyle? Hufflepuff too?
basically everyone's Gryffindor. I'll just say that. Gryffindor is the base one. That's where like all the main characters are in. So like if you're anybody with a character with like a decent personality, you're probably going to be Gryffindor. If you're evil, you'll be Slytherin. Ravenclaw is supposed to be like super
I know what you're talking about.
I know.
Like it's a Greek word.
Foreign language.
Where's our sports conversation for the week?
Hey, we gotta feed those people though. You know what I mean? We gotta feed the Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings people.
Team and individualism.
Well, Slytherins. Let me just say this.
Slytherins
to you
are bad.
guys.
They need Jesus.
Y'all need some Jesus.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
It's a snake.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what are you doing? You know,
Crushed by the hill of Jesus. Anyways,
come on, somebody.
Come on.
No, don't. Hey, that's good.
so we tried to go to a basketball game.
Yeah. Hopefully that still happens. Hopefully at
I've
some
never
point in the
been to
future.
an NBA game.
Me either.
My brother tells me watching NBA players on a court is any other professional sports field you go to, almost the field dwarfs the player, so you don't get to really see how incredibly athletic they are. He said, but when you go to a basketball game, NBA, you're going to see crazy athleticism, and it's going to be unlike anything you've ever seen on any other professional field.
I've never said those words, but it felt like that come out of my mouth.
If we
I
go-
would say the same exact thing. I love when I've been to a few, and it is so like, I mean, they look like superheroes. You know,
Yeah.
it's like 6'10", just jacked, like and not jacked as in like huge, but like I mean, you can see the individual. You look up Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you can just see the like veins.
Impressive
on
you got his name like that.
Yeah, it's good, right?
I
Yeah.
just make it up. Just
Me
You
too.
do a
Slur the
different name every
words.
time.
Yeah, it's
Antetokounmpo.
I just tell Caleb, I'm like, you know, Caleb's favorite player is Giannis, and I'm like, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he's like, that is not right, Dad. I'm like, nope, that's how it goes in my head.
Antetokounmpo.
So yeah, super athletic, flying out of the roof, like crazy,
jumping super
like,
high, just-
you know, I've been to an NFL game. You know, they're smashing each other. It's hard to tell how hard somebody's throwing a ball when you're sitting so far away from them. I've been to a NHL game. They're just smashing each other's faces in. Been to a professional baseball game. It's a hard sport. Seeing somebody throw a baseball that fast, that's impressive. But true athleticism from the entire length of the court is going to be something that I'm interested in. Been to a professional soccer game. Those guys are crazy talented, but the best ones are great with their feet and touches on the ball. So it's almost it's a more sophisticated game almost, soccer. Ooh, people didn't like that, did they? People didn't like that.
Well, here's
But
the
it is,
thing.
though.
I
It
can
is. You have to- yeah.
I can hit a golf ball. I can kick a soccer ball. I can shoot a basketball. I can throw a football. I can run, but I cannot dunk. And so when you see someone doing something you can't do, and
It's
then
impressive.
not only doing it, but like if you get one of those alley oops or a windmill or somebody gets dunked on, and I can't even dunk on a Fisher's Price plastic goal.
You can't
Like-
dunk on them, bro.
I mean, it's a figure of speech.
I was
I
about to
mean,
say.
I hope I
We
can.
gotta
what
have this
figure of
conversation.
speech is that?
Hyperbole.
It's a
All right.
slithering.
But yeah, like the other day, Alex Caruso tossed this like lob to Taylor Horton Tucker, and he literally grabbed it like this, jumped up midair, and slams it behind him. And you watch it, and it's literally poetry in motion. Like you're watching somebody do something that's so unbelievable, and it like just captivates you, and you're like, wow, I
How?
could not imagine ever my body doing something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty cool. And I also love how back and forth basketball is. I feel like you look at like football, I love it, but it's like there's winning drives. Like somebody scores on you and then they make a play on defense. But like in basketball, to me, it's like they shut each other up repeatedly back and forth.
Yeah.
And I love how like they can literally talk to each other. Somebody says something stupid, and then
I
he
just gave
just
your mama a
straight
piggyback
dunks on
ride.
you. Yeah, I just gave your mama a piggyback ride, and she
she's
weighs two times my weight. And
twice
we,
as much as I do.
we were eating
Sorry.
all day, and I'm stuffed. And, isn't that how the cook goes?
Yeah, something like
That's
that.
it.
Man,
Here goes the strange thing about that quote. I've never heard it.
It's Louis Lastic.
I don't even know what Louis Lastic means, and so like it's weird that you pick that quote because I've watched Remember the Titans, and like I've seen it a few times, and so for me, you pick a quote that is something that you felt so passionate about, and I don't even know who the guy you're talking about nor the quote is.
It's the fat lineman who is like super funny and he can't, like, he's struggling with his
And what
grades.
is he do? Like, why did he give his mom a piggyback
They're
ride?
in the locker room and they're talking smack to each other, and so he comes in out of nowhere as everyone's jawing at each other, and then the guy who's giving it to everybody, he comes up and says that to him. So it's super funny in the moment in the movie. It's awesome.
If somebody ever told me that they gave my mom a piggyback ride and they weighed 2 times their weight, I would just look and be like, that's weird. All right.
Where did you give her a piggyback ride to?
Yeah, like, why'd you give her a piggyback ride?
So,
Okay.
Remember the Titans, my favorite movie. I can quote basically the whole movie or something close to that. So, Remember the Titans, best there is.
Best ever.
Best ever.
Wow. That's a bold statement, man.
All right, let me say
you
best.
just went to a
Best
place.
sports movie, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think that's as big as a jump.
Yeah.
Best
Sorry,
sports movie.
I didn't mean to make it as big of a hot take as that was.
Yeah, there's some people I know that like everything happens and it's like they had a bad day. The worst thing ever happened to me.
Yeah.
They try like a good sandwich. I had the best sandwich of my whole life.
Where's the consistency?
Yeah, like you can't have the best sandwich of your whole life every week.
Right.
It's gotta, if it's best ever, it has to maintain its place for some period of time. You can't just have the worst day ever every week.
I was on a cruise with Jason Pinky. It was a married couples cruise we went on, and I got the fruit at the end of the night, like as a dessert, and I had the pineapple, and I was like, "This is probably the best pineapple I've ever eaten in my life." And Jason thought I was doing that, like he thought like this was and I'm like, no, like literally, this is probably the best pineapple. So this has been 4 or 5 years ago. And Jason will constantly, like, anytime I'm eating pineapple, or if he gets pineapple, he'll bring me some over, and he'll be like, "Is this the best pineapple ever?" I'm like, "Nope, that was the best pineapple I've ever eaten."
Yeah,
nice.
And it feels so good to know
that there was the best pineapple.
Best. There is a difference between the best and just something good. So
Remember
best
the
sports
Titans,
movie,
the best sports movie.
I can get behind that for sure. Oh, this is okay. So I just went on this thing that has some icebreakers, and it gave a pretty good one. It's really tough though. How would you describe God in just one word?
Ooh, I can't do it because I'm Charles Barkley.
Impossible.
I mean, I probably would say holy, because I think it's a word we don't understand that has so much of a grander meaning than we fully grasp. So for me, I would probably say holy. And honestly, I think the holiness of God is something that maybe we don't talk about enough. You know? I mean, all of eternity, we're going to be around the throne singing holy, 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 right? And the Bible 3 different times tells us to be holy because he is holy. And so the holiness of God is something that is that we should also strive to replicate. So I'd say holy.
Holy. You don't got one?
I mean, that's a good one. I mean, I don't know how you top that, or getting
It's
close
not
to
about topping it.
Or get close to it. That's, I mean,
Movie theater is better in person, or in theater, or at home.
okay, yeah. Let's go with this one. This is less. I feel like that one would be like saved.
10 Cup right now has topped my list of best sports movie ever.
10 Cup.
I'm going through them, just try to figure out which
What's
one.
number one? Is there
Moneyball.
Moneyball. I don't think I've seen that.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Baseball
good.
movie, very good movie.
Okay.
But right now, my favorite so far, 10 Cup.
Yeah.
But please don't judge me on that because, like, that's been years ago. I don't know. I probably wasn't even saved whenever I watched Tin Cup. I feel like it's vulgar. If it is, I apologize. Don't go watch
on
it.
the Golf Channel when it's.
Yeah, I probably watched it on TBS or TNT, so all of the bad stuff was cut out. So I apologize if you watch it tonight and you're like, I can't believe Pastor Jamie suggested this movie. No, don't do it.
But the last year, I mean, there's been that whole switch of films being in like at home, and there's really there's a conversation to be had there.
42.
Jackie.
Yeah. 42 is really good.
Bro.
I saw that in middle school.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, we saw it in school. They played it, and I remember that movie.
Now,
I think it came out on my birthday.
If this gets put into sports movie category, then it takes the top spot for me.
He's about to say Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore.
It's tough, right? That's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean it is.
I mean, it's
golf.
It is.
But then you also got Waterboy.
No,
that's top two. You just said top two right there. Happy Gilmore and Waterboy.
I still got Remember the Titans because it pushes the emotions, but also makes you laugh, and you want like to win. It's intense. Coach Boone gets a brick thrown through his window and then brings his shotgun.
You know what's one that's rated really high that I've never seen, and it's pretty recent. It is number 4 on the list. Number 6 on the list, behind Miracle.
Ooh, Miracle's good.
Behind Coach Carter.
Coach Carter.
I haven't seen either of those.
The Blind Side. Behind The Blind Side.
Wow,
I think I've seen that one.
It's a good one. Yeah,
that's a good one.
But Hoosiers. You've seen Hoosiers?
Seen that one.
But then next after that is from 2017, I, Tonya, about Tonya Harding.
With Margot Robbie. It's
Maybe.
it's an ice skating movie.
Yeah.
I've seen some.
Well, Tonya Harding is the one that beat the lady's legs in with Nancy Kerrigan's legs in with a crowbar so that she could make it to the Olympics and Nancy Kerrigan couldn't.
Oh man!
Wow.
So they obviously made a
haven't
movie,
seen this
and
I definitely
haven't seen it either. So I mean, it could be terrible. Y'all don't go watch it.
I've seen stuff
next
about the
time.
visual effects in it, but I've never watched it.
The one we can't forget is The Rookie with Dennis Quaid.
Rookie, A League of Their Own is the next on the list. Then Friday Night Lights, greatest game ever played. Anyways, there's some really great sports movies out there.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
I'm still gonna stick to mine, but really good.
So movies in theater or at home? Was that the question?
Yeah, it's a big thing that's like shifted. So like HBO Max has been releasing like theater movies in home. And
Disney Plus, same thing. Yeah,
and there's been this big like uproar with directors kind of having this like frustration about how it kind of messes up the quality of it because of it's almost like the whole intent of it is for it to be experienced in a theater, and it kind of messes with the whole like artistic vision of what they're trying to put out, because a lot of people are just gonna stay home instead of going to watch it. But Godzilla vs. King Kong is one of those that had a pretty successful release in theaters. I've always been an in-theater guy, so this past year has been super tough for me. When we talked the other day about like what's been tough throughout the year, like not going to theaters has been really frustrating.
Maddie and I, our whole relationship, we've been movie people. So like, hey, it's Friday night, what do? Dinner and a movie. Like that was always our go-to. We have always loved a movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, same way. To me, I don't see a good and a bad with either. You know, both of them are great in-house or in a theater. I love them both.
Yeah, they each have their own values. They each have their own values. Johnny, do you need to head out soon?
Possibly.
Johnny's got a dentist appointment. About to get them teeth fixed,
trying to be a responsible human being.
Attaboy.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay. Be responsible. Speak to us in
guys.
Portuguese.
What do you got to do? What are they doing?
Just cleaning. Hopefully
cleaning.
it's just cleaning.
They're cleaning and then setting up the next appointment to fill all the cavities.
It's gonna be $5,000. Like, okay, well, I guess I'll deal with what I'm dealing with.
Well, thank you guys for watching so much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for next week. We have something good for you. Love you guys. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.